Hello and welcome to Men Don't Cry Season 2. This is episode 5 and we're back. There's a few changes. Bald heads.
Oh, yeah.
We look a little bit different. It's been how long since we recorded last? 5
April.
months?
So
6 months?
6
About
months.
half a year?
Yeah.
That's mental.
That's good.
Crazy.
That,
but you guys have still been like watching our old episodes and stuff like that. The views have still been going up and all that sort of stuff. So thank you for carrying on supporting us. And we had our live stream.
We did, yeah. That was really successful.
Oh, it was so good, man. I had such a good time. I think personally that's like the best thing we've done so far. That's
Yeah, I mean, we made,
favourite.
because the whole point is we wanted to make like a tangible change in our community, and raising that sort of money has directly impacted us and people in our community. So, I mean, yeah, it's exactly what we wanted. So,
yeah. And before we go on to today's topic, we want to just talk a little bit about the obvious, which is we've got a little bit of a new set.
Yeah, we can start on
a little bit
on the podcast live stream.
Yeah, so we've got some photos. So I'll hold them up. So this photo is from the live stream. This is afterwards. We got all of the signatures on the top. So that was really nice. We've got, you can do them sides if you want. I've got my favourite actor, Stephen Graham, in an action shot. We're going to get some more photos. It's not just my favourite actor that's going to be on there. Louis going to get his on, but Stephen Graham is one of my inspirations.
Well, this is something like, obviously me and Charlie, you can barely see it, but they're Arsenal players.
Half the audience is going to hate this.
Yeah, me and Charlie are very big Arsenal fans. So that's something that's personal to me. And then this one is from our first ever episode. Even if you look at that, we'll put them up as a bigger graphic, but so much has changed in the last year since we started recording these.
This is you and me at a movie night.
Yeah, I look
you see that?
wicked
Yeah,
in that. You couldn't tell who I am. I was just wearing a man in a suit.
Yeah.
But I was Wolf of Wall Street.
And I was Top Gun.
Yeah.
Which is quite cool.
That suit did not fit you at all.
No, it didn't.
That was a very funny joke.
So basically, the suit that I wore was a bit too short, and it's all a one piece, so it's sort of
a bit tight on the
tight around the old boy.
Yeah.
And then obviously got a photo of my old man. Has to be done in his Liverpool top. So again, that's going to annoy people. But yeah, very nice photo, and obviously nice to have him with us at the centre of our set. So yeah.
There you go.
We should probably have a little talk about what's happened in the past 7 months. Our lives have changed a lot. I think we have to be open and honest about what's been going on in our lives. Absolutely. What's been going on in your life, mate? You got to think back 7 months.
April. So me and my lovely girlfriend Maisie had just started dating. We're still together, so that's all good.
How long have you been together now?
7 months.
Yeah, it's actually been 7 months.
Yeah, 7 months this week.
Mad.
On Friday. So that we recorded literally like about 2.5 weeks after we just started dating. So
and how's it going?
Yeah, I mean, pretty.
I'm pretending like I don't know.
I mean, it's weird trying to explain.
No, but just for the audience.
For the audience. Yeah, she's lovely. It's very good. I'm very happy. So, and we did masculinity, and I was a bit of a sad lad when that was happening.
Yeah.
And then
only 2-3 episodes later, it's all changed.
over season 1, you sort of saw me go from very sad, lonely boy to man with girlfriend.
Yeah.
A lot
in the
happier.
live stream, man with girlfriend.
Man with girl. Oh yeah, you met her on the live stream, of course. Yeah. So, a lot happier. Work's been very busy. Got lots coming up, going abroad, so that's cool.
Where are you going?
I'm going to Egypt with COP27. So there's our lovely producer, Leah, and our sound man, Niall.
And that's really cool that you're doing that.
I mean, those sort of opportunities, like, it makes me very grateful for the industry we work in. I mean, life's been very busy, but good.
Hectic, Bit of a hectic summer.
Yeah, very hectic. But nice to be back. I missed the podcast. We've been meaning to do this for so long. So
we've had a few.
And even today, it's been a bit of
a
ball ache. So, how about you? What have you been up to? How you been?
I know. It's just like you're pretending you don't know. I am now a single man, ladies. I'm a single man. So yeah, obviously when we started this podcast, I was in a long-term relationship, and you was in a relationship. Now we've almost switched. But yeah,
that's a win for me.
That's a big win for you. Yeah.
Don't want to brag,
but yeah. So I've been single for about 5 months now. I think about 5 months.
It was May, right?
So around May time. So I've been single for 5 months. So I've been adjusting to that. I was in a 5.5 year relationship, so it's a long-term relationship. So obviously it's difficult to adjust to not having someone to lean on all the time and all that sort of stuff. But obviously that's something we're going to talk about today in today's
Well,
episode.
yeah.
It's sort of a good segue. But just before we move on with that,
Yeah.
I think it's we need to be open and honest with people. So over the summer, I've had a bit of difficulties with my mental health. So I think it's safe to say depression came back, and we talked about depression in the depression episode not too long ago.
Yeah.
That I think it's when you have a mental health issue like I've had, it's a long-term thing, it's a lifelong thing.
Yeah, it doesn't just go away.
It doesn't go away, and sometimes it can crop back up.
Yeah.
And if it's not taken care of very well, then it gets worse.
Yeah.
And so I would say I didn't take care of it very well over the past few months. I wouldn't say I was relying on alcohol or anything like that, but I think I've got to be honest, like I was drinking
You were a lot.
every day.
It was sort of made a joke. We were like, oh, Charlie, you were like, oh, mate, I've literally drank like every day for the last 3 weeks. And we were like, oh, okay. But you weren't getting drunk.
No.
You were just every day consistently having some
I think
alcoholic
I was
drink.
relying slightly on it
Yeah.
to just relax me a little
Because
bit.
I think everyone around you, I don't want to like overset the line, but everyone around you is very busy.
Yeah.
And I feel like whether it be with relationships or going home or working, like a lot of people were moving around you, and we just moved.
I was home alone a lot.
Yeah, so I feel like you were not isolated, but there was a period of time where there wasn't as much of you in the group setting because
Everyone was busy.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I didn't have much to do.
Yeah, and that happens over summer. I mean, we live in London when we're quite close to home, so I think it's a bit strange for us sometimes when we go like, oh, it's weird for everyone to be going home, but every other university in the country over summer, everyone goes home. All my mates were at home, and I was the weird one being in London. But yeah, so I feel like that didn't help.
I think it's difficult because when we was doing the podcast, we had to be role models in a way because we're giving advice. And so I was looking after myself a lot more when we were doing the first season. And when we didn't have you guys to talk to and to interact with, and when I wasn't doing the podcast, I think I let that go a little bit. I didn't take care of myself a lot. And so, yeah, I think I went down a bit of a darker path.
Yeah.
And, but now, so I would say I was quite depressed and had a few months of being quite down, but I decided to sort of try and change that around, got to a bit of a dark place, and now I'd say I'm definitely on the road to being so much happier and having such a better life. And I want to be transparent about the things that I've done that has got me out of that pit. I've always said that therapy's not for me.
Yeah.
I've had therapy before, and I've had counselling before, never worked for me, but I've got a life coach now, which a lot of people are going to be like, what the fuck's that? So big up Jamie, my life coach. Yeah. He's really been a massive help to me and a really massive support. The way I would describe it as quickly as possible is if you have someone that's an alcoholic or a drug addict or they have some sort of addiction, usually they'll go to an AA meeting or some sort of meeting and they'll get a sponsor. And that sponsor is a friend that's there to offer advice, to be there 24/7 on call whenever they need them, just to be like a best friend, a support system. And that's what Jamie is to me. That's what a life coach is. It's like a sponsor for your mental health.
Yeah.
And he's very similar to me. We have similar experiences, and it's been a massive help to me. I'm also on medication. So I'm taking sertraline, which is a form of antidepressant. I'm also taking vitamin D tablets and folic acid tablets. They're for your iron and vitamin D. I would recommend everyone taking some sort of level of multivitamin.
My mum pesters me about taking my vitamin D every single time I talk to her. It's so important,
guys. If you get yourself into a rut where you're like really struggling to get out of bed and all that sort of stuff, it really helps with that. Just that little buzz of energy, like it just brings your energy levels slightly up in a healthy way. If you can get them from like your GP, but sometimes they can be ridiculously expensive because realistically you can buy them cheaper online. So just make sure that you read what they are and educate yourself a little bit. But yeah, so I'm on some medication now. And I think you've probably noticed this.
Yeah.
There's an adjustment period with any medication.
Yeah.
One day, manic, got loads of energy, running about like a headless chicken.
Yeah.
And then I feel down.
Yeah.
So it's that adjustment
period. And it's been, not to like take away, because obviously your situation is slightly, well, obviously different to ours. You're experiencing it firsthand. But from an outsider's perspective, from someone...
As my housemate.
Yeah, some housemate and probably one of your closest friends.
Yeah.
For me, it's been difficult to readjust how to manage those situations as a friend and as someone who cares about you. It is very different, and I'm sure there's many people listening who are either on sertraline or know someone who is or is affected by it in some sort of way, or any antidepressant, not just sertraline, but any antidepressant that is is affecting people's moods.
Yeah.
Because for me, sometimes you'll like snap back at me or like be really energetic, and I'm like having to manage like, okay, firstly, not to take everything so hard, like to heart, or literally, or anything like that, and to also realize that you might just be going through a mood as opposed to being in one or the other.
Yeah.
Because there is a bit of a time where you're going from like, I'm really not in the mood to talk, to then bouncing off the walls.
Quite quick as well. It happens quite quick.
But like in those moments going, okay, this is happening, and now I'm having to adjust and be a different sort of friend. And it's been tough. We've had to have lots of open conversations, be very clear with each other how we feel. But ultimately, I think we've come out the end of it probably stronger, probably closer.
100%.
Yeah, I think we're in a better place now than we were.
Yeah, definitely.
So, hey, should we crack on?
Yeah, let's crack on. I was just going to say as well, just quickly.
Yeah.
I think it's something that we should talk about in an episode that's specific to it. But so I'm going to have some. I forgot the word. The test. The psychological evaluation for a few different things. So things like PTSD and BPD, because that might be a hereditary thing. So all I was going to say is just be careful. Make sure if you're going to go on medication, try your hardest to get a psychiatric evaluation done first. I have a really fun way of getting us started.
Go
on. So today's episode's love.
Yeah.
Which is a nice thing to talk about. We're going to talk about the good things and the bad things of it.
Yeah.
We've got a few different topics of conversation, but I think to get us in the mood to talk about love, I want to talk about something that's very relatable. I'm going to bring the laptop up, right?
Okay.
We should hopefully have some graphics up on the screen. Our editor's going to work some magic.
Big up Callum.
Here we go. So what I want to do, and I love this sort of stuff because I'm a bit OCD when it comes to this.
Yeah, you love a tier list. You do it all the time.
We're going to do a tier list. I love a tier list, mate. So we have 5 categories, okay? Sorry, let me introduce what the tier list is first.
Yeah.
The tier list, what we're going to do is dates. Now, just to preface this, we're not talking about being in a relationship and going on dates. And we're not talking about first dates. We're talking about the stage in which you're dating someone and getting to know someone.
You're courting.
What are the best things you're courting?
My parents would say that when I first met Maisie. They're like, "You courting a lady?"
You're courting a lady.
Not 1500s.
Very old school. Very old school. So we're going to try and rank or put in tiers these different kind of dates.
Yeah.
So 5 categories. Top tier, goated. And that means for all you old fogies out there, don't know what that means. GOATs means greatest of all time. So it's like the best, right? Then we've got great idea. We've got it's all right. So they're the sort of male ones. We've got I'd rather not. I'd rather not do it, but if I have to, I will. And then our last one is that. Oh, sorry, everyone. First one I have very strong views on is ice skating.
Fuck that.
Okay, yeah, fuck that. Now, I have a theory on it. So my friend, our friend Ollie Edgar, his dad, right, he said, either you're really good at ice skating, which isn't necessarily the best thing to be amazing at, 'cause it's not really that impressive, is it? Being good at ice skating, it's not cool. Or you're awful at it, you're slipping on your ass, you're falling all over the place. And I'll be honest, as a man, on a first date, or not first date, but one of the first few dates, I don't want to look like an idiot.
No, I mean,
when you're in a relationship, it could be funny.
Yeah.
But in the first few dates, I don't want to be slipping on my bum, looking like an idiot.
Or like doing that really awkward...
that sort of wobble thing.
Or clinging to the side like...
Oh, and using a penguin.
Yeah.
You don't want to be doing that.
Use a penguin on the first date. I don't think you're getting a second. Yeah. No, I think... I've seen women be like, I get the ick when... I think we should absolutely talk about the ick at one point properly.
Yeah.
I get the ick when watching my man do like ice skate if he can't ice skate, or like... If she's got to hold your hand, like, if you can't ice skate, that's fine. Don't go on an ice skating date.
Yeah, I agree.
You don't have to be good at it.
I'm
but
putting that straight in.
I wouldn't want to like slip over. It's cold. You can't really talk because it's loud. You don't realize how loud ice rinks are.
Yep.
That's something people need to talk about a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're putting it in the bottom cat. There's not even a debate to be done there. Next one, right? Beach day. Now, I think a beach day again is really good. Because you don't like the beach, you hate the beach.
No, I have a bit of a beach agenda.
Yeah, you don't like the beach. But if you try and look at it like not objectively, because you have to put your own opinions in it. When you're on your first few dates, it could be a bit intense. Chances are you're going to get undressed right into your swimwear, so that's a bit daunting if you don't really know someone too well.
I feel like you have to be very comfortable with someone to go to the beach.
Go to the beach, yeah.
And also, you're so dependent on it being nice, not that busy.
Well, if the weather's fucked.
Yeah. Well, me and Maisie went away to the beach for our 6 months, and it was lovely, but it was pissing it down. Like, it wasn't nice.
Yeah.
But we still had a nice time because no one was there. So that is a good bit about the beach. Like, if it's empty, it's cool. There's cool seaside attractions.
Again, you're in a relationship. Remember, we're talking about.
I don't think I'd want to go on a date to the beach.
No, I don't. I'd say it's in a. I'd rather not.
Yeah, and to just kick it down the road, a little bit. Like, if I'm a bit more comfortable with you, we'll go to the beach, have a little swim, get an ice cream. That's fun. But also, like, getting sandy, getting a bit irritable because you get tired. I just don't think it's a great date idea. My opinion is, on a date, you've got probably 3 factors you want to hit. 1, you want to look nice.
Yep.
And like be like attractive to that person.
Especially on the first few.
Yeah. 2, you want to be able to talk to them and get to know them.
Yeah.
And 3, I don't have even a third one. 3, I think you want it to be like
fun.
An enjoyable, having a laugh.
None of them 3, does it?
Running, you're not having fun. I don't care who you are.
Horrible.
No one enjoys running whilst they're doing it. They enjoy it afterwards. 2, you can't talk. You can maybe, but it's going to be shit.
And you look horrible.
Yeah, and 3, you look like a sweaty mess. Why would you want to run?
I'm putting that in fuck that.
Fuck that. Go to the gym, exercise dates, they're fun. Oh, I'll help you lift this bar. Oh, you can teach me one of your exercises. That's fun. That's a laugh. Or, who can lift more? That's a bit more fun. But going for a run, fuck that.
Right, another one. We've got to get through these quick. I was going to be here all day. Okay, dinner date.
Okay, can you elaborate, please?
So, going out to an actual restaurant. So, going out to a restaurant, 2-course, maybe 3-course meal, a nice place, where you dress sort of smart casual. And obviously, it's in your first few dates. Now, I think I love a dinner date because I love food. I'm a massive foodie. I love food. And I think it's a good setting where you're sitting across from each other, you can talk, and you've got things to talk about. You've got prompts. So if you're someone that's a bit nervous, you've got prompts so you can talk about the menu, you can talk about the food, all this sort of stuff. The only awkward bit that arises is the paying. Yeah. Was that what you was thinking?
No, I wasn't thinking that. But
what was you thinking? Go on, before we talk about that, what was you thinking?
Oh, God, you're going to get so sick of the name Maisie. So our first dates, I suggested, my first date suggestion, because we was talking about Last Night in Soho, which is a really good film about Edgar Wright. And there's a pub called The Toucan, which is partly filmed in. And I was like, okay, we're going to go to The Toucan, then we're going to go to for some drinks, and then we're going to go to a restaurant afterwards. It's like a steak place. Flatiron. And she was like, okay, I'm really happy to do the drinks, but I don't want to eat a big meal on a first date. And I feel like as guys, we're not thinking about that because we're not wearing a tight dress or like, do you know what I mean? Like, or like, I feel like sometimes we're a bit more willing to be like, oh, I'm just having food. But I could even sometimes I was like, would I want to eat a really big, messy meal in front of someone? I think the meal where you go is very important. But if you're eating like pizza or like something with your hands or like burgers, that's a bit.
Yeah, but the thing is for me, like, because obviously we only talk from personal experience. There's nothing I find more attractive than a girl eating a big fuck off meal in front of me. I don't know what it is, but
I don't know what you're saying. I just love watching you eat.
Yeah, exactly. Just a big messy fucking meal getting stuck in. Like, I fucking love it. I think it's brilliant, and also because
I get what you mean.
Because I absolutely love food.
You are a big foodie.
I'm a massive.
I think we'll come on to what I think is a better version of that.
But payment, because we can't dawdle too long. But payment obviously is a massive thing, especially for this date. I've always been of the opinion that I like paying. Yeah. I want to be the one that pays.
Me and you have slightly different opinions. I want to pay for the first date because I will have initiated taking them out. Yeah. And so if my opinion, if I'm initiating it and I'm taking you out, that implies I'm paying for this. I am treating you to this date. And then I always say, oh, you can get the next one. Or like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're a couple dates in, then it depends. I think like, you've got to talk about it. I think it's so awkward if you don't talk about it and then it comes to it and you go, can we split it? But I think I would always just go, I'll just get it.
But
and you can get, or like say you're going for a meal,
yeah.
and then you're going on to another date, which often happens. They can get the cinema tickets. I'll pay for the food.
So if you're going on a date, right, first date, and you pay for the meal, and then your second date, you go for a meal, and then she takes a card out and she pays for the whole thing, is there not one bit of you that's like, I feel uncomfortable? Because maybe there's not.
I understand what you mean. I think I used to feel that way, and a bit, but I just think like, I think it's couple to couple. I don't think anyone could be like, you're doing it wrong. This is how you should do it.
I think I'm just naturally someone that likes to pay for things.
Yeah.
I get enjoyment out of it. I get enjoyment out of taking someone out and paying for the experience.
And I think you're well within I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all.
Yeah.
I just think some people are like, no, I also want that feeling. Because everyone loves the feeling of giving.
Yeah.
And being like, I'm doing a good thing for this person. Yeah. And I feel like if you say, no, there's no way you're paying for me ever, you're taking that away from them.
I wouldn't say never.
Yeah.
I would say if it's my birthday or an anniversary present, or if it's like a gift.
Yeah.
Like if, I'm taking you out as a meal as like a gift, or like a thank you for something, I get it. But any single date night that I've had, or like a date, usually they might convince me to go 50-50, or if I'm skint, I'll go 50-50, but most of the time I'm paying.
Yeah,
and that's just the same.
I am the same, but I don't think I have to. Do you know what I mean? I just generally do.
No, but it's not a have to, it's a want to, though.
Yeah, exactly what I'm saying. So I'm saying like, I feel bad having Maisie pull her card out her wallet and go, I'll get this.
I'll go.
I'm like,
put that back.
I would rather just do it because I want to treat you, not because I feel like you can't pay for me, because she pays me for stuff all the time. Yeah. And she paid for drinks when we went out and everything. I had no problem with that. We're probably overdoing this, but yeah, I just think we both like to treat people.
Yeah, but no, it's an interesting
I'm equally
topic.
willing. Yeah.
So where are we putting it? I personally would put it in great idea.
Yeah, so
it's
not goated, but I think great idea.
It's a good idea. Yeah.
But I think what we might come on to next.
Yeah, we can go on to it next because it's going to be nice and easy. I think we both agree. Going out for drinks.
Goated. It can't get better. Oh, squeaky chair. You can't get better than it.
No.
Because one, getting drunk, loosen you up a bit.
Yeah, relax.
You feel a bit like bubbly.
A bit more confident.
But yeah, a bit more confident. And if you're the sort of person that needs a bit of that to bring your personality out
one or
of
two,
your shell.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it helps. Two, fun. You're going to have fun.
It's a nice environment.
Yeah.
It's a romantic environment. Most like little bars, like little cocktail bars and stuff. They're very romantic.
And you get to know so much about them. You can talk and understand each other and laugh and you go, so you instantly you'll know, what's your drink of choice? Like, and that's the thing. Like, I'll always get a pint.
I just think it's a good fun environment.
Yeah.
You know
I don't see any reason why I don't see a negative.
No.
Especially if you're both happy and in control, like you're both enjoying it. Like
we're going to chuck that straight in the top tier. We're chucking that in goated.
Yeah, that is goated.
Okay, bowling. Now
I think it's a bit like ice skating, if I'm honest.
I went out with someone. We went bowling, right?
Yeah.
I'm shit at bowling.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at bowling.
Oh, yeah.
I actually am really bad. They were worse.
Really?
But I'm really bad at bowling. But it was very fun.
Yeah.
Had a really good time.
I want to say it's a bit immature, but then it's so fun. I don't think you should really think like that with dates.
No, you shouldn't think like that.
Yeah.
You shouldn't think like that because then we did arcade games after.
Yeah.
I fucking love an arcade.
Yeah, you do.
Right,
arcade.
way to my heart. Right, this is what we've established so far. Something fun, arcades, food.
Yeah.
I'm your man.
Yeah.
That's my dream. So for me, bowling, I would put bowling in great idea. Because I think it's fun. I think you get a bit of competitiveness out of it. Now, you're a very competitive man.
Yeah.
And I feel like
I wouldn't have fun.
No, you wouldn't have fun because the whole time you'd be thinking, I want to win.
If I don't win, I'll be fuming.
Yeah. So I think maybe it's lower for you. But for me, I put that in
for me, I'd say like, it's all right.
I'm willing to concede it. I'm willing to put it in.
I'm happy to be, it's all right, and it can move. At the moment, I think we've picked the big hitters.
Yeah, we've got one in every category, and then we've got two in fact that. I'm obviously a massive film fan.
Yeah.
So I get a buzz off going and watch a film that I really want to see. Yeah. And also, in my opinion, isolated by itself is a bad date because you're not really talking.
Yeah.
Paired with something else is brilliant. And I'm going to just put on this that it's paired with something else.
Okay. I agree.
Yeah. But I know what you're going to say.
Shit first date.
It's a shit first date.
If you go to the cinema for the first date, how are you getting to, like, and I'm saying, like, you know very little about this person.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
One, you're not going to get to know them. Mm-hmm. Two, you're going to be sat in awkward silence for, like, 2 hours. Three, like it's relatively. I wouldn't say expensive for what you get, but I'm not really care about the money.
It is now. Cinema
like,
tickets are so expensive.
Yeah, like he's
like
probably
12 quid
he's
to
probably
watch
going to come out of it and go, "Do you like the film? Yeah, it was all right."
No, see, I disagree with that. So if you talk before and you go, "Do you want to go cinema? Do you want to go watch this new film?" All this sort of shit. I feel like someone that's into films as well, it's going to be something that you can both talk about, and especially if you go meet at the cinema, go watch a film, go grab some food afterwards. You've got something.
Do you
to
not
talk
think
about.
like if you hated it and they loved it, that's a bit awkward?
No, it's brilliant because you can have that conversation and you can see each other's point
I
of
think
view.
going for a meal and the cinema.
So that's what I'm going to chuck that. I'm just saying that. It's
that can
paired.
go in.
I think it's a great idea for me. I conceded with the bowling on it, so right. So you're gonna have to.
Yeah, fine. It's a great idea.
Okay, cool.
Has to be a good film though.
Yeah.
Like Joker.
Yeah, that's a very good film. Next one, coffee date.
Good. I think it's a great idea.
I think it's a great idea.
Because I used
think it
to
could
my
even be
rule.
goated.
Yeah, my rule was always take them for coffee first.
Nice and casual.
Yeah, casual. No, not too much pressure. You don't have to dress up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like cheap and cheerful. Get to know them. I think it's as good as drinking.
I would put it in goated.
Yeah, so
because we didn't even say this in the beginning, so I'm not drinking at the moment.
Yeah,
I haven't drank for about 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I'd put it in goated because that's the sort of date I'd go on now.
Yeah.
Picnic. We're gonna rattle through these next ones.
Great idea.
Great idea.
Romantic.
It's nice.
Might be goated, like especially if it's sunny, nice food.
I'm happy to chuck it in goated.
Yeah, nice view, goated.
Goated.
Yeah.
Right. Going to a gig, small gig.
It's all right.
I think I'd rather not. You get loads of people, sweaty, hot, loud.
And if you're a bad
you can't
singer,
talk to each other. If you scream at the top of your voice,
it's cringy.
It's bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't. It depends. I think I think you'd have to be in a relationship.
Yeah, and we're talking first few days. I wouldn't say fuck that because it could be fun, but I'd say I'd rather not. Especially if someone that's sober now. I don't think I could do that.
Yeah, I'd rather not.
Dog walk.
Great idea.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
You can talk about the dog. You can talk about things.
When you got to pick up,
you've got somewhere to go. Yeah, but it's funny.
Is it?
It can be. You can make it all right.
I don't know.
For
me, that's what stops it going and goated because I think it's a cute date.
Yeah.
But if I've got to pick up shit in front of you, it's not very romantic.
Just ignore it, mate.
Leave it.
Yeah.
Right, we've got last two. I'm trying to think of what that is. Oh, museum.
Shit.
Fuck that.
I'd say I'd rather not, but I'd not fuck that.
No, honestly, I'd put in fuck that. Boring.
But I like
as
history.
anything.
I like history.
It's boring though. It's so
Depends what
boring.
it is. Yeah, but if you go to a museum
Look
of
at
like
the top
art,
things we put though, like like cinema, like going bowling, like all that sort of stuff. Like it's fun. Museum is boring.
yeah.
Unless you're like abroad in like Amsterdam or somewhere you'd never go, why would you want to go to a museum? It's boring as anything.
Yeah, unless you've got a shared interest.
Can I put it in fuck that?
Yeah, you can put it in fuck
I think it's boring as anything. Last one, which is one that I like very much, is a home movie night. And we're talking, set the front room up, get the microwavable popcorn in,
little pillow
order in
fort.
a Domino's, few drinks, maybe make your own milkshakes, couple of movies on, mate. That for me is the dream. Now, not as a first date, but I reckon 4 or 5 dates in, I think that's fair enough, acceptable if you're both comfortable. And I think for me that's the best because I'm a bit of a homebody, especially now not drinking. I don't really like going out and doing loads of stuff all the time. So for me, that's my ideal date. So I'm going to put that in goated.
Yeah,
Are you all right with that?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Cool. Well, that's our tier list. You can see it on the screen now. It'll probably be somewhere around this area. I'm going to put my laptop away.
Yeah. Viva la bowling.
Yeah, 100%, mate. First thing I wanted to talk about with the topic of love, now that we're a bit warmed up, is the differences between falling in and falling out of love. So you're someone recently, and I say recently as in within the year,
last year,
that's fallen in love.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk about the benefits and that sort of thing. So I'll ask you, so when you first met Maisie, obviously you didn't know straight away that you was going to fall in love. Do you think that there's a moment in time where your mindset changes? Because a few people have said that there's that one moment where it clicks, where you see really who they are for the first time and you go, wow, I really like that person. Or is it just something that happens over time, you don't even notice it happening? It's different for everyone.
I think it's a slight mixture. So I can tell you the moment I realised I love Maisie.
Yeah, go on.
So we were at the Nastas, big up the Nastas.
Mm-hmm.
We were all dressed up. We were doing the awards.
It's an awards ceremony for
Yeah,
me.
sorry, it's an awards ceremony for student television.
Yeah.
And we were accepting the award for the thing, and Maisie sent me a video of her watching the live stream.
Yeah.
And at this point, I mean, we'd been seeing each other for just under 2 months.
Long,
it was like a month and a half. We'd sort of been seeing each other.
Yeah.
And she sent me this video of her watching it and celebrating and cheering me on, and like her face was just, I could see visibly how much she cared about me, and how much she was supporting me, and how much she wanted me to do well.
She was invested.
Yeah. And in that moment I went, oh, I love that woman. Like no one has ever made me feel that special, of that, like that wanted and that cared for, like obviously outside of my family, but like she just so clearly wanted me to do well and cared about me. And I was like, I love you. So I immediately called her all soppy and was like, I love you. But you're right, we weren't like instantly in love. It wasn't.
Because one thing I want to talk about is that, you know, when people say, oh, like, you know, like personality or looks and all this sort of stuff, right? I hate them questions because basically
it's rubbish.
I'm not going to look at you as someone that I might potentially be in a relationship with if I don't find you attractive.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that, isn't it? So when you see someone for the first time and you go, you're attractive, that's for me, that's your first step.
Yeah.
Your second step is I've met a lot of attractive people being up in London, and a lot of them, I just don't get along with them. And I talk to them for a bit and I go, well, you're this, you're that. Person. You're not really my sort of person. And also you get a vibe. You can get a vibe. Is it a friendship vibe, or is it a bit flirty? All them sort of things. So when you first met Maisie, obviously there was the initial attraction.
Yeah.
But then what about the other two signs? So about the, sort of the vibe and then also her personality.
Yeah. So I wasn't the most confident person before I met Maisie. And
I know,
yeah. You remember the pits of of me last year.
I do.
And so I knew Maisie for a couple months before we were sort of a thing. I first met her in December. We were dating by the March, but like for the first up until February, I didn't really interact with her. A couple shoots, she'd see her, like she was always friendly, very nice, her normal self. But I had no self-confidence. So I obviously found her attractive, but I didn't even try and pursue it.
Well, because you didn't think it would be a possibility because of how low you viewed yourself compared to
I didn't have any self-worth at that point. I was like, why would she even give me the time of day? And it wasn't until she we were sat down talking to each other at some sort of afters for a shoot we were doing. And I was like, oh, you're actually so nice. And it wasn't flirty instantly. We were just talking about, a lot of insults. I threw a lot of insults her way.
That is flirting.
Yeah. But I wasn't instantly like, I'm flirting with you.
Yeah.
I was just like having a laugh. And then I was I did the old, oh, do you want to try my rings on? She loved it. We all know it. We all know the score. Yeah. And but yeah, her personality shone through like instantly. That's one thing I've always been like, for me, I've always had that missing in someone. I'm like, you don't make me laugh, like really laugh.
Yeah.
Maisie makes me howl like every day. I remember the first night she stayed over. Not going to be too graphic, Mum.
Parents are watching.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they're not. But yeah, you and James were sat downstairs, and I got a message from one of you, I think, and you were like, "Fucking hell, were you doing a stand-up gig like all night?" Like.
And I was thinking as well, I know you. You're not that funny.
I am very funny.
I mean, you're funny.
No, I'm very funny.
No, but you're not.
Well,
you're not making someone laugh all night funny.
Hey, I'm a funny guy. And obviously, her boobs. Yeah, so I never found anybody who would make me laugh as much as Maisie does. And that's, I think, why we're still so happy. And that was very instant. So where you were saying, like, does it instantly happen?
Yeah.
That instantly, like the first night we were laughing loads.
Yeah. And that's always a good sign.
Yeah. But obviously there was an initial attraction, but I had to believe that she was attracted to me.
Yeah.
Because you guys always used to say, like, when I was single, I was very single. I didn't really try and get with, like,
No.
I was very, like, I was insular.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of confidence, but I needed to know that she liked me before I could then be like, okay, now I'm going to come out of my shell and really graft and try and, like.
But do you think that's unhealthy in a way? Because obviously, I think the better what you should aspire to do is to be able to give yourself confidence.
Yeah.
And so that when you go into situations like that, you're making sure that you value yourself as much as you value them, because that can lead to problems down the line, right? So that can lead to, I think, problems down the line. It can lead to is like power complexes being off. Like if you first get with someone and you view them as this amazing person and you're an awful person, it puts them in a position of power that they might not abuse. It puts them on a pedestal in your mind.
No, I understand that. You have to remember, I'd been out of a relationship for 3 years.
Yeah.
And I was just a kid, really, when in my last relationship. I didn't really understand. In that 3 years, I sort of tried to understand myself. And I was like, I got to the stage where I was like, I'm pretty happy, I'm pretty okay. And then I was like, but then I met Maisie. And it's almost like you complete a puzzle and you're like, that was the last little bit that I needed to sort of feel proper whole, I guess, in a way. She sort of completed that circle for me, or like that puzzle where I was like, okay, now I'm more confident, I understand everything better, I'm more mature, I've got more responsibility, everything's a little bit better with her. So yeah, but interestingly, at the same time, you were falling out of love.
Yeah.
And and a lot of the time, I think falling out of love or breakups can be very instant. Like it can be, I saw a meme on TikTok, it was like, everything was going so great until a random Sunday afternoon. And implying like just some random Sunday.
Which is funny because I broke up with my girlfriend
after the football,
we broke up on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. But what I mean is, like, sometimes it's out of the blue, you weren't even knowing it was going to happen, and sometimes you can feel it coming. Yeah. And you had a bit of both?
Yeah. So obviously I'm going to be as respectful as possible and talk about from my situation, because there's always two sides to a story. Always two sides to a story. So I've got to be respectful. So I think I'll talk about from my point of view and try not to, pass blame or anything like that. But I think, we were in a long-term relationship, like a long-distance relationship.
Yeah.
And my ex got a job, which she really wanted. She worked really hard for, so she got this job. And obviously, I had the football team. Yeah. We had the podcast. I had my course to do. I had other projects on the side. I was writing projects. Very, very busy time. And so I think we both struggled not seeing each other as much. And there's two things you can do when you're in a long-term relationship and you know you're not going to see each other. Number one, which is what we should all try to do, really, make it really special. And when you're not together, fit fun things in to do, right? And keep that flame alive. The thing that sometimes happens, unfortunately, is that one of you will think, instead of being sad and crying every day and missing this person, I'm going to try and switch that off. And I personally can't switch off feelings, but some people can, or they try to, or they don't mean to. And I think really what happened, again, it's really difficult to talk about this without talking from their point of view, but from my understanding, they lost them feelings and they switched off the I miss you, and it became I'm going to try not to miss you, and then it became I don't know if I even want to see you. Yeah. And so that happened over a very quick period of time. Now, bearing in mind, I've been in a relationship for 5.5 years. It was a very long relationship. We met when I was 14. So we were children, really, when we met, and then went from being children to late teenagers to early adults. And so you go through different stages. But I think the biggest test of a relationship always comes with change. So one of you goes to a new school, one of you gets a job, one of you gets a new friendship group. All these different things change. One of you gets a new project. And when them things change, that's the test of a relationship. Yeah. So, for example, everything was going swimmingly until, like in the first bit of the relationship, until my ex-girlfriend moved away from our school to college, and then we broke up for a little bit of time in between that. So when those things change, it's difficult because you get so used to things being a certain way and you're very happy and comfortable. And then when that change happens, it's the first bit of adversity you've got to face. And that's really difficult to overcome. And I think just what happened is that I didn't fall out of love. I still had the love there. And we went on a little break and then we had a conversation and realised that there were really two options in my mind. Option one would be me sort of giving up this life in London and moving back home and choosing to sacrifice things. And I didn't want to do that, although I did in a way because I didn't want to lose that person. And also she didn't want me to do that. And I think it was a shock to a lot of people because we'd been together for 5.5 years. Most people that know me up here always knew me as someone who had a girlfriend. So, you know, and then obviously after you break up with someone, I think I was quite almost hyper the first week after the breakup.
Yeah, it was so weird. You were like...
I was rejecting feeling sad.
Yeah, we were very sensitive around you and we were like, are you okay? Are you like, don't want to be... And you were like, mate, I'm fine. And I remember you saying to me and Ollie, you're like, I've just been fucking dumped. Why are you lot the ones who are depressed? And we were like, oh, mate, I don't know. I'm sorry. You were so up.
Yeah.
Because I think, like you're saying, and I did the same thing when I broke up with my girlfriend when I was like 16. I was like, I'm fine, mate. I'm out. Like 2 years down the line, I was like, oh, I'm really sad. Yeah. So it happens to different people. I think you've now had a bit of time to process it.
Yeah, I think I have late reactions to things.
I think a lot of men do.
Yeah, and I said that in episode 1. We talked about when my dad died. I had a very late reaction to it, and sort of things cropped up, and I go, oh, I thought I was over this, but I'm not, and all this sort of stuff. But you know what? I think I had a moment. Again, I won't talk about it, but I found out some information that had occurred after where we'd broken up and that sort of thing. Well, I won't go into details, but I think it almost gave me this new lease of like, it's definitely done.
Yeah,
it's done. There's no going back from it, and it's almost this thing of liberation and freedom.
It's closure, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's closure, but it is freedom. Yeah. It's liberating. It's the idea that, okay, I can now do what I want with my life.
Yeah.
I have no ties to anything. I can go where I want, do what I want, and I can sort of become a person that I want to be. And I think I'm on the road to that now. It took me a while, and I think I've had to obviously struggled over some with some mental health difficulties. But now I'm in a place where I can sort of be who I want to be and sort of mould the person I want to be as a 20-year-old man, soon to be 21-year-old man.
Yeah.
Who do I want to be? And that's, I think, you can sometimes do that in a relationship, but sometimes it takes something like that to happen where it pushes you out. You know, you're in this bubble and all of a sudden this bubble's gone and you fall, you're on the floor and you're like, oh shit, how do I get back to being happy?
Yeah. But you also have to be, humble's not the right word at all, open enough to the idea that you might know yourself now, but you're gonna be a different person again in the next few years. Yeah. And it's about constantly like checking with yourself and relating back to self-care. I mean, that was whole episode 3. Like, knowing yourself is not just knowing yourself in a moment, but knowing how to manage yourself and how it's going to go up and down, and that's okay. I think I remember you calling me when that happened, and you were like, "I feel good," and I was like, "Yeah, I mean, you should feel good. Like, it's closure. That's what you needed. You needed it to be like, because there was a bit of a period because you, like you said, the feelings on one side had gone, and your feelings hadn't.
No.
And so that was like a stop to your feelings, being like,
it was
okay, done
It
now.
was strange because after we broke up, I think I was very much still. I still really love you.
Yeah.
Like and I'm not someone that gets very angry, and so at no point during this process have I been angry. Have I been upset? Have I been feeling any sort of hatred towards her or the situation or anything like that?
Yeah.
You know, I haven't at all. But I think you need something that goes, okay, there isn't a road back here. And I think this might be a controversial take. And I think maybe, again, we can only talk from a man's perspective, and maybe when women hear this, they're going to go, oh, because there was that song that came out. You know that song about sometimes when I look in.
Yeah.
Do you know that one? Right?
Yeah, Joji.
And people reacting to it because it's that whole thing about your first love is like so important. I think not necessarily about your first love, but every single person that you love in your life obviously there's a period that love ends, but you always have some level of care for them.
Always.
And I think that is a form of love, because I think we want to go, I want to go on and talk about different forms of love after this, but I think you always hold a care about them, that person.
Absolutely.
So even to this day, I still care, not just her, but other people I've been with in my life. You have to move away from them feelings.
Absolutely. I mean, with us, me and Ollie, we've been very protective of you, and we're sort of doing that side of the thing.
Do you know what? It's absolutely fair enough, because look, at the end of the day, there wasn't a very dramatic breakup, was it? Nothing was said, no bitchiness was done, but you're my mates, you only care about me, and if someone upsets me, then you're obviously not going to like that.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely fair enough.
But it was interesting for you to be so reserved and so calm about the situation. And I think that is because you have that care. And when other people, other breakups I've been in, like people have been like, oh, fuck them, you're a good mate. And I'm like, yeah, fine. But I don't want to say anything bad about that person, because I have no bad ill will towards them unless something happens. But in both my other cases, it hasn't. And the way I look at it is that when you love someone, they take a tiny piece of you and you of them.
That's a good point,
And no matter what happens, you will always have that piece of them. And it might get smaller and smaller because you're
and
not...
it might mean less and all these
exactly.
sort of things.
But no matter what, the rest of your life, you'll have that. I will always have love for my other two partners I've been with, because that's just the way it is. That love is not the same love.
No,
and that's what we need to talk about, is like love changes. But if they were in a hard, difficult situation, of course I would have care towards them. Because I find it strange when people are like obviously if they've had some sort of trauma with like a cheating or anything like that, like that's different. But I think you can always still have love for someone, even if... And I don't think that's wrong. I don't think that love has to be romantic or mean anything to you. But of course, you're still going to care about them. And that's okay.
Because I want to talk about this, because I have a really close friend. She's going to come on, hopefully, the podcast. I don't want to give too much away, but she's a guest that we might have on in the future. And I would say that I love her, right? And but what I mean by that, it's just a love of care.
A platonic love.
Yeah. But I think that's something that can be really miscommunicated sometimes. For example, when I was in a relationship, I think my ex-partner would have found it difficult if I was to say to them, I love my friend who's a girl. Because they would have gone, what do you mean?
It is difficult.
It's difficult because then feelings of jealousy kick in, and then feelings of insecurity kick in, which is completely understandable. Because a lot of people just view love as love, but you love your parents. You don't love your parents the same way you love your partner. Some parts of the world you do.
But there's absolutely jealousy between partners and parents. That happens all the time.
Yeah, that happens.
And friendship and partners.
Yeah, and then you've got platonic love. You've got love for like animals and like your pets. So there's a lot of different forms of love. But I think the love that's almost misrepresented and not understood is that platonic love, is the love you have for someone that's really close to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think me and you come from a very similar background, but in that sense, because I went to a female sixth form. So I went to an all-boys grammar from obviously 7 to 11. I know you know this, but for the people at home. And then 12 to 13, sixth form was a girls' school. So I went into a very female-dominated environment. Which therefore meant that a lot of my closest friends, because I think you make your closest friends in sixth form, a lot of my closest friends were female. And that had a huge strain on my first relationship, because it was like, whoa.
You're surrounded by women,
and I think, like you said, there's challenges. That is a challenge, like having friends who are, like, if say you're a heterosexual man like yourself, and you've got female friends, of course your partner is going to feel intimidated and insecure, because yes, you might love them differently, but it's hard for them to understand exactly how you feel about them. And I've had it before, and it is tough, and the only way you can do it is by having a trust in a relationship. But it's so hard to manage. I don't think I'm well equipped enough to manage it properly. So I've been the friend who's then got a partner, whose friend's got a partner, and then like you can't talk to me anymore.
Yeah.
And it's a horrible, horrible feeling because you're like, I have no intention of doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
I look at you purely as a friend, because of my gender and your gender and our sexualities. We now can't. There's now a divide.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can relate. I was in a situation where I had a really like best mate that was a girl, and we had a bit of a flirty relationship. Like we would sort of flirt with each other a little bit, but it'd all be in jest. It would never be serious. And obviously, my person who I was with at the time wasn't the biggest fan of that. And I wouldn't say that they made me, but I definitely think I looked at it and thought, right, this friendship that I've got is causing most of the problems we have. And I care about you and love you, obviously, and that takes precedent. So I basically stopped being friends with that person. And it's one of my biggest regrets to this day because we had such a close friendship and we're not as close anymore. Yeah. And I think I missed out a lot on that friendship, and I missed that friendship. And I think maybe it's something that you need to, because I was young as well. So going about it as an adult would be very different. But it was a very difficult situation.
I think you just have to set boundaries.
Yeah.
I think you have to be respectful of your your partner takes precedent, in my opinion, because they're ultimately your priority. I always look at Maisie. Maisie's feelings are quite often my priority because I love her. Yeah. And I think that you have to have that nice fine balance between not letting it completely take over all your actions, but also respecting them and understanding that there are boundaries that need to be put in place. So boundaries such as like being maybe less physical with someone, touchy, less like people do flirt in friendships, but like it's less like that, more like you just have to set boundaries and be honest with your friend and be like, look, it's nothing personal. I just think these boundaries are going to be healthier for everybody involved.
Yeah. I mean,
and that's okay.
Because I want to talk about like, it's a good segue really, because I want to talk about like my experiences of being single when I was younger. But you just said something and it made me think. I've lost it.
This is good for a podcast.
Fuck's sake. I'm sorry, guys. I've lost what I was going to say. It's probably a very good point. Yeah. But anyway, it's made me think about what I want to talk about next, which is before I met my ex-girlfriend, I was a very, very single man. And the way I would describe... No. Sorry, Mum's listening.
Sorry.
So the way I would describe it is my life revolved around two things: being popular and women.
Yeah.
Right? I think a lot of men go through this stage. I went through it probably a lot earlier than most men do. I think most men, maybe when they hit their 20s, when they get that confidence, they go out and they think, right, my mission is to have sex with as many women as possible. Unfortunately or fortunately, that's the way it is sometimes, right? But I think I had the same mentality, but obviously a bit more innocent, where I was like, I want to kiss as many girls as possible. I want to go to an under-18s disco, and in that night, I want to kiss 10 girls, right? Genuine, like that was my mindset. And we've already talked...
You little legend.
Well, we've already talked about how I'd sort of change my personality.
We were so different. I can't even describe it. But I was such a little weirdo.
But if you want to check out the clip, it's on our Instagram, right? It's one of our most
my favourite clip.
It's one of our more popular clips.
Yeah.
I used to sort of change my personality based on the woman that I liked at the time, which was a bit strange, but it worked. And so what I want to talk about is like, I think, do you know what it is? I think so my main goal in life was to be popular.
Yeah.
I wanted to go to all the parties. I wanted to be in a popular group. And I think it's because I looked up to my older brother, who was very popular. He was funny. He got invited to parties. He had a big group of lads that really cared about each other, but were also really funny and like proper like lad culture. Yeah. And I really liked that. And I was quite
You're a Doctor Who nerd.
I was a Doctor Who nerd. And I was also quite camp as a kid.
Yeah,
I was actually quite camp, you know. Yeah. I would say I was quite feminine as a kid, dancing and like doing all that sort of stuff. Growing up where I grew up, and look, it's not like the worst place in the world, but it's a very masculine place, and my family's quite masculine.
Yeah.
And so I used to do dance classes, right? And in the dance classes, I would wear jazz pants.
It's not the dance, it's just the idea of you wearing jazz pants, especially with your arse.
Yeah, exactly. Because for anyone that doesn't know,
by the way. Sorry, a bit graphic, but. Well.
That's just our direct saying we'll have to cut that one out, but I think we should keep it in.
Yeah.
So basically.
We are going to have to cut that out.
I'm scared.
Sorry, let's keep going.
It's a bit...
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's brilliant. We're keeping that in.
We're not keeping that in.
No, if you're seeing this now, I have fought so hard to keep this in.
We're not keeping that in.
Anyway,
I'm going to get done.
I used to have a very short walk back home from where I did the dance. It was about 5 minutes. And the abuse I would get walking home, wearing jazz pants, things getting thrown at me, you know.
Knowing where we're both from.
Trying to run me over as I'm running away from him in my jazz pants. Bum absolutely jiggling all over the place. Glitter going everywhere. Yeah. So, you know, and I think when I went to secondary school, I went to reinvent myself.
Yeah.
And I wanted to become a lad and I wanted to be more masculine.
But it does happen in those situations. Like, you go from being very expressive, I think, in primary school and being just who you want to be.
And you're encouraged to do so.
Yeah. And it's quite sad how I went to an all-boys school, you went to a mixed school, but very sort of tough environments. And you are, like, sort of pushed into these holes of, like, this is where you're meant to be, this is how you're meant to look, this is what's cool. And it is really sad. Yeah. Like, I used to acting and drama, and the amount of abuse you get for that, just because, like the amount of stick I used to get being like, just nasty stuff. And I was like, what?
Yeah, and what that leads to in terms of relationships, I saw the lads that went to parties and got with loads of girls, and I was like, right, so that's what I want to do. And it wasn't exactly what I wanted, but it's what I thought I wanted to do or had to do to be popular. So, for instance, I got caught out at one point when I was talking to a few different ladies at the same time on the old Snapchat.
Typical.
And I went to an under-18s disco and about 4 or 5 of them were there.
Oh, mate, you've been stitched up.
And I had to try and keep them away from each other. And I'm so sorry.
That's some sort of film, mate. You should turn it into a film.
It was like a comedy sketch. So I had to keep them away from each other. It got me into, sticky water where the girls, if they're listening, they'll definitely know who this is. But there was a situation where I was talking to someone, okay? And it was going very well.
What were you using? BBM, Kik, Snapchat?
Really? Snapchat was my thing, yeah.
Did you use Kik?
No, Instagram DM.
What about Uvu? Do you remember Uvu?
Uvu, yeah. I used to use Uvu. Mate, I used to pull on Uvu.
After school every single night.
I used to have some serious moves on Uvu.
Yeah, drop some Uvu game.
Yeah, Uvu game. Loose Uvu game. If anyone remembers Uvu, please let us know in the comments.
Mate, when BBM came to the iPad or the iPod, fuming. I mean, I loved it.
Mate.
Change your status, looking for women.
Genuinely, if any of you guys remember Uvu, please let us know in the comments. I feel like we're going to be the only ones that remember that.
Kik was unreal.
Was big. So anyway, so I was talking to this girl, right, and it was going really well. And then I found myself in a situation. I can see it's not that graphic. I found myself in a situation where I was talking to another girl, quite normally, and then they decided to send me a picture of their boobs.
Oh dear.
And one of the captions was sort of basically along the lines of "pick me over the girl you're talking to," and my 13-year-old brain went, "Boobs. I'm going to pick that."
Yeah.
So then I started talking to her and dumped the other girl.
Oh, mate.
So as you can see, the way I was and the way I viewed at things was very typical. And I think if I hadn't have met my ex-partner and gone out with her, I think I would have probably carried along down them lines.
Well, you always say, like, I wouldn't be here. I would be a very, very different person.
Yeah. I'd still be.
And that's why it can change your path so hugely that I think you always will look back on it with rose-tinted glasses, or spectacles. Sorry, it's the wrong term. Like you, even through the shit times where you were unhappy, she was unhappy, you always had that remaining love and that like gratefulness. I think it may be the right word for what has happened. And the same thing with me and Maisie. Like, I'm so grateful for what Maisie's done for me, because I think if you look back at me when we first moved in, I'm such a different person now.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that,
even the way you hold yourself, is different.
Myself, the way I look after myself, confidence. I walk with like my, my shoulders, up, and like I feel
chest
like,
out.
yeah, exactly, like because of her, and I feel like you've had a similar sort of thing.
Yeah, 100%.
So I think that's you always have
all
that.
of like this stuff when I was younger is because I had no confidence, and so I had this beard of confidence, which was I talk to loads of girls.
Yeah.
Or I want to talk to loads of girls sometimes. I wasn't talking to loads of girls, but I
That
wanted
sort
to.
of faux confidence where you think
Exactly.
you're better than you are.
And
yeah.
what I, you know, and as you've brought it back into love, but also what I want to say is that I almost rejected the idea of love. I think
Yeah.
I rejected that idea of being soppy and falling in love and all that sort of stuff, and was like, no, I don't need that. I don't want that. But you don't choose who you love, and you don't choose because sometimes you end up falling in love with someone, and it makes your life really fucking difficult.
Yeah.
Really difficult. It comes with a lot of challenges. You know, like I've heard like countless stories, especially since moving up to London, where like, you know, a guy would be talking to me and he'd be saying like, you know, I fell in love with, like, say for example, I fell in love with someone of the same sex as me,
Yeah.
but I didn't know or think I was gay.
Yeah.
And so that causes so many problems. But it's true, isn't it? You don't choose who you fall in love with.
Yeah, and I think this is something we'll probably cover in another episode because, I mean, we've already talked a lot, but and it's something that needs its own conversation. not
Yeah,
just on
it
top of
does.
this.
But what I wanted
we've
to,
only really spoken about heterosexual love because obviously it's our experiences.
yeah.
And there is such a wide amount of love, but at the same time,
yeah.
it all comes back down to one thing.
Yeah, it can all relate to. It can all relate to.
Yeah,
the
it doesn't
same
matter what sort of love it is. It
Yeah.
all you feel that it's that extreme feeling of care for someone, like you just would do anything.
Yeah, because I, you know, I think we should talk about it. So I think it's important to talk about, and obviously I think we're gonna have an episode where we talk
Yeah.
more about it in detail. But I think it's important to say, like, where I grew up, there was no exposure to different sexualities and different kinds of gender and different gender identities. I had absolutely no idea what any of that meant. If you used to tell me 3 years ago, do you know what? Even a year ago, what does pansexual mean? I wouldn't have a clue. I
Yeah.
would not have I wouldn't be able to tell you. So coming up to London, I've really been able to sort of not educate myself, be educated by people when
Yeah.
they tell me all these different things. And I think a lot of people watching this will be from where I'm from. I do genuinely think it's really important to understand these things because nowadays, more and more, you're going to run into it more.
Yeah.
And it's good to have a general idea of what it means. And it baffles me the idea of loving everyone. Because, and also what baffles me is why that's looked down upon.
I was about to say.
If you're someone that's pansexual, right? So correct me if I'm wrong. That means that the gender doesn't really matter. You fall in love with a person because of who they are.
Yeah. From
Right?
what I understand, that's how.
Right.
Yeah.
So that means that you're basically open to loving everyone that there is.
I think that's beautiful.
Why
in a
is
way.
that something that's looked down
I know.
upon?
I
know we
think-
sound like a couple
I
of
think it's because
we
it's
sound
different.
like we do sound like a couple of pick me boys
Yeah.
here, but
No, I believe it though.
no, but
because
it's genuinely how I feel.
because
I am. Look, I won't lie. I'm fascinated by it because I have never felt that.
Yeah.
I've always been very confident in my sexuality.
yeah.
But this, when that gets discriminated against, I know it only gets discriminated against because it's different.
Yeah.
But actually, like a lot of people won't have thought about this. Actually, just think about that for a second.
Yeah.
Take a minute to actually think about being so loving.
Yeah.
You've got so much love in your heart that it doesn't matter who they are. You just love them for who they are.
Love is sounds so soppy. Love is beautiful. Like
Yeah.
there's no better feeling, in my opinion, than being utterly besotted by something like
Oh,
just
it's
like
unreal, innit?
I just adore you. Like
Yeah,
just
and
like
being loved.
yeah, and feeling exactly. And that's when
Feeling
I
loved and
knew.
cared for.
That's when I knew I loved Maisie because like you love me. Like I know you love me.
Yeah.
And that feels incredible.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter what love, who's on the receiving end of your love
Mm-hmm.
or who you're receiving your love from. It doesn't really matter. That's by the by.
Mm-hmm.
But that feeling is so important. And yeah, I think that's why it sort of has the power to conquer anything, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I think we've covered love.
I think we've covered as much as we possibly
well, I think
can.
that we could sit and talk for hours. It's the biggest emotion in the world.
Yeah, I think like masculinity a few episodes ago, it's such a massive topic,
Yeah.
and we could sit here for all day talking about it. But if you guys enjoyed this episode, let us know in the comments, and maybe we will do a part 2.
Yeah.
We also wanted to tell you guys, as I said in the beginning, we really appreciate all the support you guys have given us over the time that we've been away. We're trying a few different things, as you see, a bit more segment-y and all that sort of stuff, and trying to add new things. So please, in the comments, let us know what you like, what you don't like, and also what you'd like to see because realistically, we'll do what you guys want us to do in a way.
I'm going to stop interrupting you. That was one comment.
That was
Taking that on board. Only comment we got on the first episode. Would that bloke with the fringe stop interrupting the other guy? No worries,
Took it on
brother.
board.
No worries.
But yeah, so we are trying to do new things,
Yeah.
but we want you guys to let us know what you guys want to see from us. If there's any episodes you want us to discuss, and if there's any points that we made, agree or disagree
Yeah,
with us, let us
absolutely.
know in the comments, and also give us a message on our
we're-
Instagram, on
exactly.
our socials.
We're always open to changing our opinion. We're never
Yeah.
people who are like, well, no, this is what we think.
And
This
now
is
that
it.
we're back in the groove of things, we're back on our Instagram. Hopefully we'll be posting a little bit more. Thank you, Creative Capital.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to have even more episodes.
We'll leave it there, I guess.
See you later, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.